Hello everybody, so I'm Kim from Darn It Workshops. I'm based in Huddersfield and I'm currently broadcasting from Thread Republic, which is my textile scrap store based in the centre of Huddersfield. If you're nearby, please do come and visit. And today we are going to be making these beautiful macrame Christmas decorations. So to start with, what you'll need for this is something that you can pin into. So I've got a macrame board here, but you don't need a macrame board. You can just use like a pillow and some pins. And as well, do feel free to say in the comments where you're watching from, if the weather's grim near you, how you're doing today, and if you've done macrame before. That would be really lovely to hear. So the pins I'm using, they're these little T-shaped pins. So they're specifically for macrame. They're really, really strong. So if you use normal pins on this, it sometimes warps a bit. So you just need pins that are a little bit chunkier. Also, ignore the state of my hands. I was doing some batik a few days ago and it's made them very, very purple. And then you need some cord. So I'm using braided cotton cord from a company called Bobiny. There's another company called Billy Bag as well that seem to be around about the same makeup of things, and they're both really good quality. And you can do a different colour for the trunk, the kind of inner bit and the outer bit, but you don't have to at all. You can just do kind of one colour like the ones I've done. I'm just opening this on my laptop as well so that I can see if any comments are coming in, because it's always nice to be able to chat to people as we go. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut the cord. So we're going to have one length of 45 centimetres and one length of 1.5 meters. So I've got my tape measure here. So just had a moment of panic when I thought it was only in inches. So we'll cut this down, and I've not measured it in advance just so that I can show you how I do this. So you hold it down like that, pull it along like that. And Katsuri is saying that she is watching from South Wales and that she's done a bit of macrame before but hasn't got any cord yet. So I hope this gives you a bit of inspiration to get some. And then we'll measure out our 1.5 meters like this. Oh, gone well over 1.5 meters, haven't I? There we go. I just assumed that tape measure was 1.5 meters. They normally are. So then what we'll do is we'll fold each in half. So match the ends up like that. Just run them through your fingers so you've got the middle point of the long one there. And then we're going to do the same with the shorter one. Let's make that one stand up properly. And normally what I do is put a bead on it. So I'm going to borrow a bead from one of these because I did get one down earlier. And then by the time I got to the bottom of the stairs in the shop, it must have fallen off somewhere. So we're just going to pinch this together and just twist that bead on like that. Victor is watching from a sleety High Peak. Oh gosh, the sleet's already got you, but I guess High Peak is high for a reason. I love the High Peak. I used to do a lot of workshops in, it's gone near Glossop, Hadfield. It's absolutely beautiful around there. So then I'm going to put the middle point of the longer piece around this bit here, and I'm going to pin through all 3 layers so it looks like that. And the analogy I always do whenever I'm doing this as a in-person workshop is, if you think of it as a little person with a head, long arms and legs, we're going to pin through them at the bottom as well. So pin the legs down. Always feels a little bit brutal. And then we are going to do some square knots. So square knots, you start on the right hand and you go over the middle 2, making a P shape. And then this one goes on top. And then whatever this one does, this one's going to do the opposite. So we're going to go underneath the middle one and through that loop. Oh, it's Pauline from the High Peak, not Victor, using Victor's laptop. Then we're going to pull it up to there. And then a square knot, you do the same thing on each side. I'm going to pull this down a little bit so that you can see it a bit closer. So you go, the left hand goes over the middle, then the right goes on top of that one. And the nice thing about these boards is that you can clip bits into the side if you need to, but not so much for this one. And then this one's going to do the opposite. So it's going to go behind here and through this loop. And we're going to pull it up to that point there. So at this point, we're doing the top bit just there. So now we're going to do the exact same knot, but we're going to leave a bit of a gap. So the good thing about having squares on this board is you can use the squares to measure it out. So, and as well, you can look at the little bumps here, tell you which side you're doing next. So this one is going to go over the middle two. This one's going to go on top, under and through. And instead of pulling this all the way up to the top, we'll pull it to the bottom of that line there. And then the same on the other side. So this one's going to go over the top. That one will go on top, under. So you do one loose, and then the one on the left is going to pull right up to this one there. So then we have a little gap there. Push it up, and that makes the first of these little loops. So then we'll do the exact same thing, but leaving a bigger gap. So the right's going to go over the middle two, left goes on top, under and through. So if you're doing this on like a cushion or something, you could always put a tape measure next to it. So I've got half a gap, a line there and a whole line there. So it'll be a slightly bigger loop. And the left will go over that one, under that one, behind and through. And I'll be doing another session soon on how to make a macrame Christmas reindeer. Pull it tight like that with a few different techniques, and then you push that up, give it a little squish down. You see how the loops are getting bigger. So then the next one we'll pull it up to about here. So this one will go over the top. Left goes on top of that one. So it's kind of a P shape for this one. Under and through. And then for the other side, you do either, you can think of it as a number 4 or a Q shape. So I always think of it as minding your P's and Q's when you're doing macrame. Pull it up like that. And if they're ever looking a little bit too skinny, just give it a little rearrange like that. And these are so quick to do once you get in the zone with it. So that one was 2 squares, so now we're going to do 2.5 squares. So over 2, under 1, under 2, and through the loop. And pull it to there. Then the left hand, over 2, under 1, under 2, and through the loop. And has anyone been doing any other virtual village hall things today? There's always so much good stuff on. I've just been hearing about Pilates and thinking that maybe I'll revisit that session later. So my one was looking a little bit small there, so I've just pulled those edges out and it makes that loop a little bit bigger. So you need to use this kind of cotton cord for it, because if you don't use the cotton cord, then if you use, there's other macrame cords that you can use that are like stranded cords, so that when you brush them, they all feather out. But with those, it doesn't have the same structure, so it doesn't keep to the same sort of, it doesn't stand up, they just flop down. So what were we on? I think we're on 3. So as well, if you're ever unsure what the gap was last time, you can literally pull it down like that. So that was about 3 actually, and count the gaps. So we're going to go for 3.5. So 1, 2, 3.5. I'll zoom out a little bit because I'm aware I've got very, very close to this. When you get to the bottom, it can be a little bit tricky with that. So often I'll hold it in my fingers like that, because you always want the middle bit in macrame to be taut. So that one is slightly bigger than I'd like it to be. So if that happens, all you do, bring it down, loosen these edges, and just shimmy it up a tiny, tiny bit. So you're only shimmying the top one up and then tightening the bottom one to it. And then push it up. And there we go, that's a lot better. So it can be, when it's not pinned down, it can be a bit trickier. So we can always put a little pin through there so it stops wobbling. 1, 2, 3.5 on this one, because the last one was, I did it at that and it was a little bit too big, so this one should be right for it. And similarly with that one, it's about the same height as the other one now. So we'll bring that back down, loosen those sides, bring it down just a little bit, so you tighten the top one first and then the bottom one, and then it magically makes it just a couple of millimeters bigger, so it'll sit really, really nicely. And you can get this cord in all sorts of different colours, so like some of them have a little bit of glitter in them, most of them are plain. You don't have to add a bead if you don't want to, so that makes it a really nice option. And you can do bigger ones as well. So you can get this cord in, what thickness is this? This is, oh, it doesn't, 3mm cord. So you can also get 5mm and 9mm. So you can make these a lot bigger and chunkier as well, if you want some real like standout pieces. So as I'm doing this, has anyone got any questions? Because I'm aware I'm zipping through this quite quickly. So that one's got to the same height, so we'll make this one a little bit longer. So there's other things you can do. In fact, I'll do another one in a sec, another speedy one, to show you other options of things that you can do. Actually, I think I won't be able to squeeze another one on there. So then when it gets to the end of it, you just trim all of those excess bits down to whatever length you like. And you have a lovely little Christmas tree. So I'm going to do one now where, if you see on here how the middle bit is really, really uniform, all goes in the same direction, I'm going to show you one that gets a bit of a twist to it. So I'm going to measure out 45 centimetres at 1.5 meters. But actually 1.5 meters was a bit too much last time, so let's go for 145. Because there's, in macrame, so that's called a square knot. And if you don't alternate the sides, you get a spiral. And I've heard that called various different things. Sometimes it's called a spiral senet, a spiral knot, a half square knot. There's all sorts of different things. So just as a reminder, you fold that in half like that. We'll zoom out a bit again. Fold that in half and pin that down. Fold the bigger one in half. And pin that down to about there. Actually, we don't need the one at the top, do we? We'll just put one here. So if you want a bit of a different twist to it, then instead of changing sides, you just do your P shape. So you do 2 of those together, like we were doing with the square knot. Ooh, that one has come unpinned. Didn't pin his legs down properly. And then we'll do a small gap, so about that 1 square. Also, if you're doing these at home, and you're watching this back and you've got any questions, you can drop me a message at kim@darnitworkshops.co.uk, or you can find me at Darnit Workshops on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everything. So when you do 2 on the same side, it starts to twist around. So we'll go over 2, under 1, under 2, and through the loop. Pull it up to about there. So I don't know if you can see the difference. It will probably become more apparent once I've done a little bit more of it. Get a little bit bigger on this one. So this one, it's quite nice if you do it with bigger yarn as well, because it's a really good one for hanging up somewhere. So instead of it looking really, really flat, it's got a really good twist to it. So if you're doing like a plant hanger or something, this knot is what creates a kind of double helix look to it. And it's the exact same as the last knot, it's just you don't change sides. And you just make sure each time you leave another half a square. You can also do it where you alternate which direction your square knots are going, and then instead of having this line down the centre, you get alternating lines. So you do one starting on the right hand and then the next one starting on the left, but it doesn't make it quite as flat as that. There we go. So I trim that one down as well. So that one just looks like, if it hangs up, it's hard to show it from this angle, but it kind of has a little bit of a twist to it. Whereas that one is incredibly flat. This one looks a bit more jaunty. So it's just 2 different ways to do it. So in fact, if I write down so it's on the screen what you're cutting things to. So 3mm cord, 45 centimeters and 145 centimeters. So I think that is actually everything. I've zoomed through that quicker than I thought I would. So do drop me a message with any questions that you've got. If you make these at home, please do send me pictures of them on your Christmas tree, around your house. Always really, really lovely to see. And thank you so much for tuning in today, and hope to see you again on another one soon. It'll be Christmas reindeers. I should have bought an example of those, but I couldn't find one earlier. Right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a really good day. Bye.